Thank you and welcome to the Image Profile Report. I'm your host, Herb Glenn. If history was to repeat itself, you would certainly want it to be with the remarkable examples that are sitting with me today. One of the things that have been fascinating in the relationship that I've had here in the Newark metropolitan area has been that of an entrepreneur and working as a photographer. Here with me today is the individual that really gave me confidence in the work that I have done as a photographer, as an instructor at Essex County College, Mr. Leon Bolden. And my mentor, the individual who literally just grabbed me and pushed me out and said, "You can do this," Mr. Harold Edwards. And Mr. Mansa Mussa, who has been a wonderful influence to a number of individuals culturally and predominantly in relationship to educating young artists. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with me on this segment of the Image Profile Report. One of the things that I really have been able to find encouraging has been the type of relationships that each one of you have been able to magnify in our community. Mansa, you have been able to do a number of things even now when it comes to developing new artists and putting together themes in relationship to being able to profile the artist in curating different artwork and building that kind of confidence for an individual to know that their work is useful in our community. Explain to us how you have been able to manifest that throughout the years and what kind of potential can it develop as far as bringing a positive relationship to the influence of our young generation.
Well, I've had the privilege of teaching in Newark for the past 34 years, 24 years at the Newark Museum, 20 years at the Boys and Girls Clubs, 7 years at Alvin Ailey at Quitman Street School. So for some reason, I'm a natural teacher. And I think when you teach, you do a series of things. You demonstrate. But the main thing that you want to do is you want to inspire students to take the information that you're giving them, to do some research on their own so that they can create their own nexus, and then that they can go on and they can reach out and touch other people. I had great teachers in the Newark Public School system. Nettie Thomas, who was my art teacher at Weequahic High School. Ben Jones, who was my art teacher at Jersey City State College. So they gave me not only the inspiration to do it, but I could look at their example of teaching young people, of inspiring young people, and then seeing young people go on to great things.
Not limited to any of the obstacles that really come about, especially in the urban community. You know, Mr. Bolden, as an educator and as a photography teacher, can you really share with us exactly how you feel that the potential behind young artists in photography is going to continue to develop in relationship to the new types of venues that are available to us now?
Yes, I feel that they're very much interested, extremely interested, and in all forms of the internet. And as far as photography goes, imagery, everybody likes to create, and they got a chance to see it immediately now, as opposed to when me and Mansa was doing it. We had to hope we had what we were looking for, and we had to take it a million times. You know, we couldn't edit on site. We had to do it later. Wow. But now it's easier now. Yeah, it's you can do more. You can do a whole lot more now, and the students love it. But like I've always said, they still like to see a pitcher pop in the soup, though. They still love that.
You know, Mr. Edwards, one of the things that is so fascinating about you is that you have been a magnifying magnet. I don't know whether those metaphors really work well or not. But the thing about you, in terms of what we can all share sitting here with you, is your ability to know how to identify the talent and use it where it can be helpful in providing a cultural difference, especially here in the Newark area. Share with us exactly why you have been so involved in making sure that photographers in particular get an opportunity to help capture that history?
Well, first of all, I was blessed by God, and with the desire to promote positive images. Since I can remember, I just like positive imagery, and throughout my life, I've been able to connect with positive people who, help produce positive images. There's so much negativity today, and for as long as we can remember, that they display in the newspaper and all kind of mediums. That didn't. I knew there was a need for somebody, and once again, blessed by God to want to always promote positive images. And these two artists, giants, on both sides of me, helped do that. We connected 20, 30 years ago, and they've been doing it. I've been trying to do it with you as well for all of this time. Positive images, that's what we basically do through culture, through art, through photography. They've done it, and I've used them to do it.
When you talk about that, I know you are involved in a very special project, 28 Days of Blackness, and how you were able to take and use different art and build the kind of resource so that minds can be able to absorb what's important and what's relevant about the history and culture of Black people. Share with me a little bit more about that idea and why it's so important today.
Yeah, that was just one of my ideas that I came up with around Black History Month, or a day they want to sometimes offer us to celebrate ourselves. At least with the Black History Month, something in my mind connected with this. 28 days in that month, and we should do something every day. At least that month, every 365, we should be doing something. But that particular month has 28 days in it, and I just thought of a theme of doing and promoting some kind of culture, something positive on each day of in February. I think one every 10 years is 29, but I'll figure that out when I get to it. But 28 Days of Blackness, and I've done it for maybe 4 or 5 years now, and I thank you for helping me a couple of years. Promoting positive images, it's that simple. Try to do it through the holidays, through the year, but particularly February during Black History Month.
During the time that you worked with Mr. Edwards, Mr. Bolden, did you really focus on a lot of theme work in terms of the artistry that you captured?
What I liked about working with Mr. Edwards was the fact that, and you had said it, he can identify talent. I don't know exactly how he does it because he's the first one to say he's not a photographer, but he knows how to find them. Yeah, he knows how to find them, and he knows how to bring out the best in you. Yes, which is what we all need. If we're going to do anything, we need somebody who's going to push us a little. We need to be pushed, and sometimes he may have shoved. But
now, Mansa, coming out of it, because I think we all went through that process and learned and got exposed to a number of different things. You have been able to do a lot of traveling and then to find different cultural differences, taking the advantage of knowing exactly what is going on in our urban communities and what you have been able to experience from traveling abroad. What can you really manifest as far as a method of saying what we can do to develop a better relationship in photography in capturing what's going on in our neighborhoods?
Well, one of the things that we can do, I saw a movie, Through a Lens Darkly by Alan Thomas, and the most interesting thing about the movie was that the photographers that they talked to started taking positive pictures of people in their family. That's where they all started from, and that's where I started from too. I saw my father doing it, and so I emulated something positive that my father was doing. I started taking pictures of the family. Now I'm the family photographer. My daughter's doing it now.
great.
So that's one of the things about photography, and particularly for people of African descent. This is, through this lens darkly, this is the way we've been able to capture our history. And you can do that wherever you go. I was working with a group of kids in Cartagena and Tierra Bamba a couple of weeks ago on this small island with a group of 4 photographers. And we understood clearly what it was that we were supposed to be doing. We had the kids taking digital pictures, but number one, we had them taking pictures of their families and their communities. And these are things that will resonate for the rest of your life. I tell kids, these pictures that you take, they're gonna last you a lifetime. And every time you see them, it's gonna bring forth a whole series of emotions and memories. So that's the importance of the still image, that it can transcend time, it can transcend generations, and this work that we do, that's, for me, that's what makes it so important.
You know, Harold, one of the things that comes to mind a great deal is how you have been able to also take culture and heritage and encompass it in many of the work that you've been able to get for us. Your organization, the Amistad, the idea of bringing a relationship of pride. You know, Mr. Bolden, earlier you really made it clear. Back in 1968, when it all evolved, you know, we learned what black really was. Is that how you're really patterning a lot of the work that you get when you're working with individuals such as photographers?
Well, it started early with me. They probably recall Al Henderson, Al Jeffries. They were black photographers back in the 40s, 50s, and who were popular. I mean, Al Henderson had a big studio on Clinton Avenue. The building is still there.
That's right.
And I mean, I thought he was the greatest man in the world, and he was a little guy, you know, and he had a rough time getting into the market because Laura Stan Studios and all of the big companies downtown did a lot of had the market captured. Until we realized our blackness, and you know, there were folks among us who could do that and do it better. And the Al Hendersons, Al Jeffries, Lewis Allen, there's a whole bevy of black photographers who captured our positive images and expressed them through stills and later on through other mediums. But that's where I got it from. It came from like being around those kind of people.
Do you see a transition in terms of the economics when it comes to photographers who are African American getting involved on the mainstream in relationship to making money behind the business? Leon?
Yeah, I guess as far as you're saying as far as financial benefits.
Right.
Of course. I guess financially, no matter how dedicated we are as artists to stay afloat, there's got to be some financial thing involved. There's no way around that. Because even if you put every dime you make into more equipment, you still got to get the, because that's how I started. I'm sure you did too. Every money. I shot a job to buy a tripod once. You too.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of times you are trying to stay in the relationship of, because technology changes so rapidly. But as, again, we have a real disposition. Many of us are independent minded. Many of us we don't have what is considered to be a partnership in working together. How do we change that?
Well, we change it by doing it. I mean, I met Leon through a friend of mine, Ed Johnson Jr., and 28 years ago, Ed had this idea about taking pictures of Newark, creating a positive picture of Newark, because every time you heard about Newark, the preface was Newark, scene of the 1967 riots, and Newark, capital of the world. And we got so tired of hearing that. So Ed said, listen, let's do this project well, we're going to photograph Newark for 24 hours, and we want a positive portrait of Newark. And Leon was in that group of 27 photographers. We shot Newark for 24 hours on September the 13th, 1987. That work went to 17 exhibits to 5 states, to Newark's in Ohio, California, and Delaware. And people said, well, how come it had so much life? Where'd the legs come from? Because people were shocked to see that this was Newark, New Jersey. They just could not believe that this was the car theft capital of the world. So that's how you form the partnerships. People come up with an idea, and then they go with it. That's how we went to Cartagena. A friend of mine, Jonathan French, had been there. So he just asked 3 photographers, hey, would you like to go with us? We paid our way, but that's how you form partnership. You come up with ideas, and you move forward.
And thinking about that, one of the things that you shared with me, Harold, was an idea of reenacting. History repeats itself. What can be a real effort that we could make, but to sustain it?
Well, I tried to formulate, well, not tried, I formulated the Homicide Communication Group around that idea to recreate some things in our community in several different mediums and through PR. I'm basically a public relations and marketing guy. These guys are artists.
He's good at it.
Yeah, and like you said, I bring them together. I'm
Turned
not
it to an art.
But I'm in several organizations who have a lot of history to them. We just went to the 100th anniversary NAACP. I'm a member of the New Jersey Black Issues Conference. A number of organizations that leads to you to know that that's the only one true way to move forward, is to organize, is to do what they did. They came together and they had an idea to showcase Newark like that. And I do the same thing with the 28 days. You've got to be organized, I believe, to have these kind of things keep reoccurring in our community.
I really think too it takes dedication. And the thing that I've always said, photographers are notorious loners. They work alone.
Loners.
They are definitely loners. Mansa and Eddie got 27 people together. God knows I don't know how we did that.
Neither do I.
But it was dedication, and that made it happen. Yeah, I got sick of getting those notes from him.
Sorry.
Mansa notes.
You know, it's an interesting thing because Mansa, you have not really given that away. You know, you're mostly spending time, you've been working with the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, WBGO. You have some projects here at the SOPAC that I want to showcase a little bit. Precious Memories, for one, which is opening and has opened since October. Why don't you give me a little theory behind what put together that energy?
Precious Memories comes from a song I first heard Aretha Franklin sing, and Reverend James Cleveland had sung it, recorded it before Aretha. But a friend of mine, Alfred Goldman, who started Goldman's Newark Dance Theater, had a ballet called Precious Memories. And I photographed Alfred's first dance concert in 1977 in Newark, and then did 30 years with him. He's my buddy. So SOPAC asked me to do a solo show, and I thought about the themes and what I wanted to do. So I wanted to create this image of precious memories, some of the things I had seen in my 5 decades of exhibiting in Newark. I started exhibiting in Newark in 1974 at the Newark, at the Newark Museum. So precious memories are these images that I created in Newark and around Newark, but no matter what, Newark has been the catalyst for me. Wherever I go, people say, where are you from? I say, I'm a Newark artist, okay? I'm influenced by the politics, the power, the people, the passion of the city, and that's what makes my art. So this solo show at SOPAC has 50 pieces in it. It's got work from 1978 to 2014, shadow boxes, collages, dance photographs, just a collection of images that are really, they sort of encapsulate my precious memories, and particularly about dance in Newark and the dancers that I've seen and photographed.
Now when you do the work, and I see a lot of this imagery that is not just photography per se, is a lot of chemistry, Photoshop, and other elements that we now use in technology to create a picture?
Well, here's what I say about Photoshop. And I am an iconic artist. Whatever everybody else is doing, I'm trying to do something else. So there's no Photoshop in this work.
Really?
You know, and people say, how do you do those collages? Do you Photoshop? Yeah, I use this Photoshop, these scissors, and these here Photoshop. So I told a friend of mine, before the year is over, I'm going to get Photoshop. But the images that you see, for instance, on there, that's called, I forget what it's called, but that image is a collage that's in the show. That image has Amiri Baraka's in there, William May's in there, Ella Fitzgerald's in there, Romare Bearden, and these are people that I saw and photographed over the years, and I put them into this jazz collage. But none of that's Photoshop, that's all cut and paste, the traditional method that I use to make collages. And I came to collage to photography, not as a photographer. I didn't say, ooh, I want to be a photographer. I loved photography as a child, always have. But I came to photography as a collagist who needed to find a picture of Ben Jones, and I couldn't find it in Life magazine. So I started taking the pictures, but I still took the pictures, cut them up, glued them together to make collage. So I still do that. Now, instead of using work of other artists or other photographers, I've been using my work for most of my career now. But no Photoshop.
No
not
Photoshop.
Yet.
That's interesting.
No
Well, Leon, and then now
Not yet.
it's interesting how they have a passion and a different artistry, because, Mr. Bolden, you like black and whites.
Yes, I still do like
Yeah.
black and white. Yes, I teach black and white.
Right.
It's still amazing to me. I'm still taken with it. I had to fall into the Photoshop bag. I had because I still have to do digital work, but
Right.
because I teach black and white, I get a chance to do that like you're talking about. This is all what they see. Photoshop made the collage thing a whole lot easier as far as I'm concerned. But I just I fell into Photoshop as soon as I could because it cleans up a multitude of errors, and there's no way around that. You know, that's it. But one of the things I tell everybody that aspires to take pictures, only show them your good stuff, and they'll think that's all you take. Edit your stuff before you show it.
The one thing that I want to think about doing is also sharing, before we do run out of time, is that there's another art show that you're doing, Generations, Mansa, and it looks to me like it's certain to the word generations, whereas you're working with artists and their children.
Yes, yes. And you say, how do we do this? This is how you do it. Someone came to me with the idea for this show of children and their parents who are both artists. And so they asked me to curate the show at 1978 Maplewood Arts Center. I'm on the board there. So they asked me to curate the show, and I pulled together some people. Some were already in place, but it's an exhibit of parents and their children, and how do parents and children influence each other's art, and how is it different? But it's a beautiful show. If you get a chance to go out and see, this up until November the 22nd.
And this is at the Maplewood Arts Center in Maplewood, New Jersey. And then looking again at some of the other things, Chairs of Inclusion.
Chairs of Inclusion, the Jewish Services for Developmentally Disabled have a Wellness Arts and Enrichment Center in West Orange, New Jersey. I've done work for them before. They called me and commissioned me to do a partnership again with adults who are developmentally disabled. So we came up with an idea to design an actual chair and to create a design for a chair. We did it over the course of 3 months. And this show will open on Sunday, November the 9th in West Orange at the JCC Metro West. So there's another partnership. You come up with an idea, and like Leon said, you got to be dedicated to make it happen. You know, just like Harold saying, hey, he can come up with the idea for doing 28 days, but hey, what's going to happen unless you move forward, create some partnerships, and make it happen?
Well, that's exactly where we're headed. We're looking at creating partnerships to make it happen. We have a number of different assets, especially those who have been successful in creating and developing opportunities for others. Mr. Edwards has been a real strong mentor for me and these gentlemen that are sitting here. And the ideas and concepts that you're thinking about coming up with, Harold, is something that we want to give a lot of support to. We want to continue to build that energy. As we are moving forward in the relationship of what it is that you would like to see happen in regard to this partnership, would you share with me for a few minutes?
Well, one of the things you and I had talked about, there are certainly probably many struggling artists around, but one in particular, a friend of ours, a photographer, Felix Middleton. Felix Middleton is a local photographer who had some health issues, and he's been struggling for like the last 4 or 5 years. We were trying to organize something around Felix to showcase his work and show how we, you all as photographers, me as a marketing PR person and community activist, can help Felix, who's incapacitated, and, but still has the energy and the wherewithal to come out and try to be active in our community. So that's one direct idea that we had that I certainly want to share with you all and your audience. And there's other people too. There's other artists, and
I think that's where we were going with it, is that we will use that as a catalyst,
right.
but also have an opportunity we could showcase the artwork of the different photographers that have been in our community who are African American descent, in particular, especially when it comes down to being able to find a method that we can be able to deliver a relationship. We certainly need to be supporting your effort in terms of these projects that you're working with. Mr. Bolden down at Essex County College, we also talked about what you've been doing there as an educator. We want to be very involved in what type of activities are going to be going on. So we're going to have an ongoing project that is going to really support that kind of visibility of these great artists and these great entrepreneurs who are developing things in our community for a positive reason. I want to thank you very much for participating with me in this segment, but we're going to be looking for an ongoing opportunity, Mansa. We're going to be talking about working with you and showcasing some of the students that you've been working with. And certainly, Mr. Bolden, I want to have you in as an advisor as well. And Harold, there's nowhere that I can't have you. But I really appreciate you all for being with me today.
Thank you.
We want to thank those viewers for tuning in. We've been looking forward to having another segment. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.